I brought tennis ball because I'm really passionate about tennis. When I was young, I used to play tennis, I trained tennis, and then also recently I started to be more and more engaged by following game, and I'm planning to start playing again. Simply one of the best games to play. You're on your own, you can make your own decisions, and you can just discover what your weaknesses and what your strengths are. So you simply constantly work on yourself. If you have no plan B, then you're actually in a very bad position, and I think this has something to do also with my choices when I decided to change some way how my career was about to flow. So once I finished my PhD studies, I got actually an advice to move elsewhere, to deepen actually my interest in biology. Why? Because, you know, once in a while you have to make that choice to move, because if you stay too long in one place, I think that you're not gonna actually learn much more. So you already have absorbed a lot of knowledge from your closest people in the lab, and they usually tell you it's time to move on so that you can broaden your horizons, that you can actually gather a bit more knowledge and look a bit out of the box, because we are quite used to stay in our box. And Leuven, this is where I landed actually in 2011, offered me a huge opportunity to deepen my knowledge, to work with so many fantastic people and different groups, and I think that was not a bad choice. On the contrary, actually it gave me a lot of confidence how to proceed, what to do, and it gave me a slight hint about what my strengths are and what I could do in the future that is not necessarily related to academia. I think that one of the most important skills that you acquire, that is in general one of the life skills, is perseverance. So that you have simply to realize that when you do research, or I guess any other type of job, that you have to realize that the results, what you want to achieve is not going to happen immediately, instantly. Secondly, you have to be flexible. You have to be self-critical. You know, the things don't work always as you wish and as you would like to. And this is the beauty. You have to, you know, at a certain point you have to talk to yourself, and you have to reflect a bit, and you have to grow up in a very specific way. Especially if you're abroad, you have to do it on your own. You're independent, so there is no family to back you up. There were some moments when you say to yourself, is this really what I wanted to do? I tried to do it, I managed for 12 years, and I think that at a certain point I realized this is not a way of living that I would see myself in 10, 15 years. I really realized that academia is not the only choice that we can make, and that we have to stay attached to it because we were raised as scientists. There are so many other possibilities, and it's not a huge problem if you say, okay, I've studied for this, but maybe I can change, and then I go elsewhere and I use my knowledge in a different context. I teach in one of the European schools in Brussels, EEB2, in St. Stephen's Woluwe. At the moment of interview they asked me, okay, why would you like to step down from university level and get to the secondary cycle? I was very honest and straightforward. I wanted to transfer my knowledge, and this is the reason why I'm here. When working with students at the level of secondary school, you constantly try to actually help them to understand, to be immersed into science, and to simply figure out and realize on their own how beautiful science is. When you realize how the things work, when someone who is 12, 13 and still quite naive in its own way of thinking has great ideas, and when they think out of the box, because the older we grow we tend to enclose ourselves in a sort of a box, you see that you can learn also from the students themselves. So definitely teaching is something that is fulfilling, but also learning at the same time. It's a bidirectional process, and this is what makes every single day that I spend at school priceless from that point of view. You always get some inspiration, you get motivation how to go on, to move on, and day by day you become richer. You have a very heterogeneous group of students sitting in front of you. Not all of them want to study biology, but you still have a group of those who really want to deepen their knowledge. So you have to learn how to handle a very heterogeneous group of students. And there you have to be flexible, and you have to be perseverant. Why? Because you have to continue, you have to give your best, even though there are days when it doesn't work. You still know that if you continue doing your job, that at a certain point it is going to work. So you fall sometimes, but then you learn how to get up again. And I think this is the process that rolls. And these things are maybe the most important ones that I think every single scientist has to have. Perseverance, flexible to a certain extent, and simply to go for the dreams. They're not going to come to you just served on a plate, so you have to go for them.